what a disastrous performance it was tonight, to say the very least. 4-0 away from home. I mean, I don't care where we are in the table. I don't care that we're still in a great position to challenge for the title. The fact of the matter is, tonight, to lose 4-0 against a mid-table side that have got 1 point from their last possible 15 is utterly disgraceful. Given that this Arsenal side just 5 days ago was beating our main title contender in Man City 2-1. Now, to have a total contrasting and conflicting performance like this away from home is shambolic. And there's just no consistency in this Arsenal team. And again, we're questioning whether this Arsenal side has the credentials to go on to win the league. And it's typical that it comes just when all the pundits, when the media were actually starting to take us seriously. I mean, I do still believe that we are in a very good position to win the league. Let's not completely throw our toys out of the pram just yet. We win against Bournemouth on the 28th, then we're still, back in the mix. But the most frustrating thing about it is, not only is it 4-0 away from home against a mid-table side that should not be having that kind of scoreline against us. I mean, I thought those scorelines, those days were behind us, quite far behind us, in fact. But it's the fact that we beat Man City on Monday by 2-1. If we'd have built on that, we could still be 4 points above Manchester City. We could be 10 points above United. It's just the fact that we haven't capitalised on our other team's misfortunes. It's agonising to see, because it's such a typical Arsenal performance, I guess you could say, because whenever we have a chance to go top of the league, and it's been the story of this season, we have choked at the opportunity to do it. And it really does bring into question whether, like I say, we have got the credentials to go on and win this league, because it's so up and down. It feels like the Premier League is drunk at the moment in the way that all these big teams are having such inconsistent performances. It just looks like no one wants to go out and win this league. The only team that can really look back at themselves and be really happy with how the weekend's gone is Manchester City, because they've really capitalised on ours and Leicester's misfortunes. They're right back in the mix now. But I mean, tonight, the game just seemed to exploit everything that's been wrong with Arsenal this season. The cracks, the weaknesses within the team really came through. I mean, we evidently missed players like Francis Coquelin and the bulk in the midfield. That Ramsey and Flamini pivot were just completely overrun by Jordi Clasie and Victor Wanyama. Both of those two are fantastic in the middle of the park. But the officiating, of course, does come into question. There's a lot of questionable moments throughout the course of this game, which didn't really go in our favour. But I mean, at the end of the day, Southampton were a better side, and whether those goals should have stood or not, they're the ones that deserve to be coming out with the 3 points. I don't think there's one Arsenal player that can leave that dressing room with their head held high. We were utterly shambolic, and it's just weird to see, because we haven't put in a performance that poor this season, apart from maybe Bayern Munich or Sheffield Wednesday away. You don't expect it in the Premier League, especially when you've got so many high-profile players out there on the pitch, and players that are brimming with confidence. It just looked like a uncharacterised performance from Arsenal, especially given the way we've been playing. We've been playing some excellent football and just looked like a team that were lethargic, lacking in confidence, and quite frankly just looked hungover from Christmas. It was really weird to see. I can't really put my finger on it, but Southampton were excellent. I think the main reason why they were so good against us was Shane Long coming in for Graziano Pella, who was injured in the game, and that really didn't work to our favour. But then again, someone like Mertesacker, who coped so well with Sergio Aguero on Monday night, coming up against a similar player, well, not in terms of quality, but in terms of ability and low centre of gravity in Shane Long, someone who's pacey and good going forward. I mean, he didn't cope with him in the same way. Shane Long was having so much fun getting in between Mertesacker and Koscielny. The whole back line, even Koscielny, had a unbelievably bad performance. I don't think there was one player in the back line that played particularly well. Monreal consistently puts in really good performances. I don't think he was at his best today, but out of the back line, I think he was the best. Czech wasn't at his best today, in my opinion, and we conceded 4 very sloppy goals. The first goal we conceded, I mean, the game hadn't started awfully for us. I thought we were having some good spells on the ball. I mean, the first 5-10 minutes was pretty comfortable for us. We looked like a team that were having good opportunities. They were saying it on BT Sport. Robbie Savage, most notably, saying how good we were at winning headers in the air. We looked like a team that were confident and were going out there to make our intentions known to get the win. But things didn't quite go to plan when the deputised right-back Martina, who not a lot of people have heard of, came into the Southampton side and scored an absolute worldie of a goal. Now, first and foremost, the officiating does come into question, because Davis did appear to be offside in the build-up, and if it's offside, it's offside. The goal shouldn't have stood, quite frankly. Mertesacker, though, continues with play, and it's an awful header out straight to Martina, who buries it into the back of net with one of the best goals that I've seen all season. I mean, you've got to take your hat off to him. What a fantastic goal that was to put Southampton 1-0 to the good. But it's the way we capitulated shortly after that, the panic that seemed to settle in. I mean, we just looked completely out of our depth throughout the course of the match after that point, and we didn't really threaten. I mean, there were no real clear-cut chance that Arsenal created throughout the course of the game, and that was mainly down to Wanyama and Clasie keeping Mesut so quiet throughout this game. They were so good at constricting the way in which we played. They were so quick to get a man on another man. It was about 3 players on 1 man throughout the course of the game. We didn't really have a sniff at the ball. Southampton was so good at closing down, so good at tracking, and their defence worked really hard tonight. Jose Font was fantastic at the back for them, as was Van Dijk. They played some really fantastic football. We went into the break being 1 goal down, and despite how catastrophic the first half had been, it was only 1 goal down. I mean, we could have gone into that second half and quite easily scored 2 goals, especially the way we've been playing. We haven't failed to score in a game since we lost 2-0 to Chelsea away from home, and that just really gives merit to how good our attacking line has been, even without the likes of Alexis Sanchez in the squad in recent weeks. So, I mean, I was still fully believing that we could go out in that second half and grab a win in this game, but shortly my belief was expelled after Shane Long got a goal on the 55th minute. And this goal, another one that shouldn't have stood. Despite Southampton's dominance, this goal really shouldn't have been in the back of the net. Long appeared to foul Koscielny in the build-up, tripping him over. The referee doesn't see it because he's following the ball. The ball was played back in, and it's put into the back of the net by Shane Long to make it 2-0. I mean, it's just astonishing how neither of the linesmen saw it and the referee was oblivious to it. The standard of refereeing is so unbelievably inconsistent, and it really is hard to take referees seriously in this country because it doesn't really seem to happen anywhere else around the world, just in England, how poorly inconsistent referees are. But, I mean, we'll leave that one to another day. Southampton 2-0 up. You could say they were worthy of it, despite both of the goals being controversial. Shortly after they made it 3-0 through Jose Font. Again, refereeing comes into question because it should not have been a corner. Koscielny seemed to shepherd the ball out. Shane Long waves for a corner, and it was a great corner delivered in, and then Font puts it in the back of net with a really towering header. The centre-halves today were absolutely appalling. Mertesacker really should have done better. His pace was massively exploited, but also on set pieces in this occasion, he was nowhere to be seen. Didn't particularly play like a captain, and it amazes me that both him and Flamini, who seem to be the root cause of our problems today, they played so well against Manchester City, but they didn't follow it up with a performance in the game today. I mean, maybe the games are coming too quick for them. Maybe they're getting to an age now where they can't play so many games consistently in a row, and that does worry me, especially with a game coming up against Bournemouth, who've got players like Stanislas up front who are built with pace and can cause us problems in that game. We really did struggle to cope with pace and players with low centres of gravity today, so it does worry me about how we'll fare with players like that in the future. But 3-0 down, the game is effectively over at that point. I mean, it effectively felt over at 2-0 because given the way we were playing, we just didn't look like a team that were going to get into the game. Giroud had no service up front. Ozil had been completely nullified throughout the course of the game. Walcott and Joel Campbell, both incredibly ineffective, and we resorted to bringing on players like Alex Iwobi. Chamberlain injected a little bit of spark into the game. I'm left scratching my head as to why Callum Chambers was introduced. I thought he did all right for the time that he was on the pitch, but again, he's a defensive option, so I'm not too sure why we brought him on. It kind of felt like, oh, we've resigned to defeat, let's see how he'll do when he comes onto the pitch. But to go 4-0 down at that point, and a goal that you can't really argue with, fantastic work by Shane Long, completely and utterly epitomising what went wrong for us today and where the weaknesses are within the team. Got a yard ahead and then placing it into the back of the net. It was a fantastic goal by Shane Long. You can't argue with that. Czech maybe could have done a bit better straight between his legs, but 4-0 away from home at St Mary's. I don't know what to say. I mean, it really does leave a rather flat note given it is Christmas, but we've got a game coming up against Bournemouth on the 28th. Which we've got to win. We've absolutely got to win. I mean, we're not out of the title race just yet. I mean, that's not why I'm going to go on some explicit rant about how poor we've been, because we are still up there. Thankfully, we got that win against Manchester City. We're still a point above them, and we're still within 2 points of Leicester. So this result, in the grand scheme of things, hopefully won't mean a lot, but it's just the fact that we were so utterly incompetent on the night to lose 4-0. We should not be losing like this, and we should not be consistently choking at opportunities in which to capitalise on our other team's misfortunes. I'm bitterly disappointed with how we've played, but I mean, we've got games coming up against Bournemouth, Newcastle, and we've got to be winning those games. I dread to think how we're going to perform at Liverpool and Stoke away in January, because that is a title-defining month. We've got some fantastic games coming up then, which I say fantastic. They do worry me in a way, but I mean, they are great opportunities for us to get more points on the board. But if we play anything like we did today, teams like Stoke, who won 2-0 against United, will absolutely slaughter us. So, yeah, not the best of ways to cap off Christmas, but, you know, get your thoughts in the comments box below. Please do like the video if you've enjoyed it in a way. Subscribe to Arsenal Fan TV if you're new to the channel, and as always, I'll speak to you very soon.
Arsenal Fan TV, I spoke to you the other day and you was really optimistic. Yeah. After that, how can we be optimistic? I mean, is it just a blip, or is that Arsenal